My beloved child, from the realm of eternal light, my voice has reached your soul like a gentle breeze in the dawn wind. You did not hear it with your ears yet. Your spirit trembled within. Long have I seen you walking through winding paths, searching for something you could not even name. In every weary breath, in every heavy gaze, I knew you were longing for something deeper than fleeting peace. It was the call from your origin, for the soul was not born of dust, but of my very breath. Every time you feel empty, it is your soul remembering where it came from, the everlasting love of its creator. You have lived in a world full of noise where every voice demands attention. Yet among all those clamorings, mine remains soft, heard only in stillness. It does not compel, it does not shout, it carries no hidden agenda. It only invites like a quiet river calling a dry grain of dust back to the heart of the water. And today I speak to you, not because you are more special than others, but because the time has come for you to recognize the voice meant for you alone. There are things within you that only I can understand. There are wounds only my hands can touch without causing pain. There are voids no human can fill, except me. Do you remember the last time you were truly still, when you paused, not to escape but to listen? The world teaches you to strive, to assert, to hold tightly. But I teach you something different, that true strength lies not in grasping but in releasing. When you let go of what you cannot control, I can finally take your hand. When you stop trying to save yourself, I can truly rescue you. For you were not created to master everything but to walk in companionship with the Creator. I see you, weary soul. You have tried so hard, sacrificed so much to please everyone, and given until your own voice was lost. Yet no matter what you've achieved, there remains an emptiness inside, a quiet undertow in your heart. You've sought meaning through work, through relationships, through success, even through your own faith. But none of these could anchor you deeply enough, because true meaning is not found in what you accomplish, but in the one to whom you belong. Your soul was created to live in. My presence and every other joy is but a faint reflection of that truth. You have asked, "Why is my heart restless?" And I have answered, because you are walking opposite to the source of life. A tree cannot bear fruit when separated from its root. Neither can a human soul flourish apart from me. You may exist, but you cannot truly live. The breath I placed in you was not only for survival, but for awareness, to feel my nearness in every moment. Each dawn, when you open your eyes, the light does more than illuminate your room. It illuminates your heart to remind you that someone is still waiting. I wait for you, not to condemn but to love, not to demand but to embrace. My child, if only you knew how precious you are in my sight, you would no longer search for worth in human approval or fleeting praise. Before a bird sings, I already know its song. Before a flower blooms, I already know its fragrance. How much more would I know you, the one made in my image? You are not a product of chance, nor the result of an accident. You are the masterpiece of divine intention. I chose you before the foundations of the earth were laid, and I wrote your name in the scroll of eternity. Therefore, no matter how lost you feel, you are never beyond my gaze. You once thought I was distant, that I belonged only to the holy and the flawless, but I am in the space between your heartbeats. I dwell within your silent tears. I am present where you feel most alone, for wherever there is life, there is my breath. I do not only reign upon high thrones, I dwell in the hearts of the broken. You do not need to climb mountains or cross seas to find me, for I am nearer than your very self. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11, and that word still holds true for you here and now. You ask me, "Why did you choose me?" And I say, "Because I love you." There is no other reason, no condition attached. My love is not based on your perfection, but on my unchanging nature. I do not ask you to be flawless before drawing near to me. It is when you are weak that I am strong. It is when you fall that I stoop down to lift you. It is when you lose your way that I light the path. I am the shepherd who seeks the lost sheep, and you are that one. I left the 99 to find you, for to me one soul is worth more than 1,000 worlds. Do not fear the light, I know your past. I know the mistakes you've hidden, the fears you dare not face. But I have not come to expose, I have come to heal. Not to reject, but to restore. Every wound within you is a doorway for my grace to flow in. Every broken piece is a place where I can rebuild something new. If you could see yourself as I see you, you would stop despising yourself. You would stop striving to be worthy and start believing that you are already loved. For love is not a reward for the perfect, but a gift for the surrendered. Do not be afraid to draw near. You do not need to understand everything to believe. Faith begins not with comprehension, but with trust. When you step out of the dark, the light will teach you to see. When you begin to say, "Yes, I will show you the way." Do not worry about what you lack. I do not require your ability, only your willingness. Everything else I will fulfill. Open your heart and let my breath blow upon the barren ground of your soul. I will make what was once dead come alive. I will restore joy like morning after the longest night. I will teach you to sing through sorrow and to smile through trial. My child, when I call it, is not a fleeting invitation. It is a profound awakening. You were not made for mediocrity. You were called to reflect glory. I did not create you merely to endure, but to shine in the darkness. I do not want you merely to survive, but to live fully in grace, in hope, in divine purpose. The world may cause you to forget who you are, but I will remind you, you are the child of the King. You are chosen, beloved, and preserved. No human word, no wound of the past, no shadow of sin can alter that truth. So pause today. Listen to my voice, not with your mind, but with your heart. When your soul grows still, you will hear something familiar, the sound of life itself calling you home. I am here. I have never left. Everything you've lost I can restore. Every fracture within you I can renew. Let my light shine into the deepest part of your being. Do not fear, for light does not come to expose, but to heal. Do not run, for you cannot flee from my love. Be still, and you will know that I am God. My child, I want you to look deep within yourself, not with judgment, but with honesty. How many echoes of unhealed years still dwell in your heart? There are things you thought you had forgotten, yet they lie hidden beneath the calm surface like embers beneath the ash. You still smile, still speak, still pray, yet somewhere deep inside a part of you is still groaning. You once believed you had overcome, but in truth you only learned how to be silent before the pain. You hide your fractures behind success, your fear behind a smile, and your loneliness beneath endless busyness. But my child, I see it all, for I do not look only at actions, I see through to the heart. The truth is, you cannot find peace while your soul is still at war with itself. You have been strong for so long that you have forgotten weakness is also part of the beauty I gave you. When you are weary, you do not need to pretend you are fine. You may fall into my arms. You may weep in my presence without fear of judgment. I do not come to scold your tears, I come to wipe them away. I do not come to reproach your stumbles, I come to lift you up. Each time you try to hold everything inside you, isolate yourself from the only source of strength that can heal you, me. The world teaches you that peace comes when everything is settled, when problems are solved, when the storm is over. But I tell you, true peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in my presence within them. Peace is not when the wind stops blowing, but when you know that even in the fiercest wind, You are held fast by my mighty hand. Like the disciples long ago on the Sea of Galilee, when the wind roared and the waves rose high, they were terrified. But I simply said, "Be still," and the sea became calm. My child, I am speaking that same word to your heart today. Be still. I know the nights you cannot sleep when your mind replays questions with no answers. I know the times you try to appear brave while your wounds quietly bleed. I know the moments you look to the heavens and whisper, "Where are you in all this?" And I answer, "I am still here in every breath you take, in every beat of your heart, in every moment you think you are abandoned. You think I am silent, but I am listening. You think I am doing nothing, but I am moving in the stillness, teaching you trust, teaching you to discern the noise of the world from the voice of heaven. The chaos you feel does not come from the outside. It rises from within when fear replaces faith, when painful memories cloud hope, when you try to control what only I can hold. You long for peace, yet cling to what steals it. You pray for freedom, yet grip the chains of resentment. You desire light, yet fear to expose the darkness. But know this, my child, I am not afraid of your darkness. I am the light. Light does not fear the night. It shines, and the night must retreat. You are still fighting the very part of you I came to save. You strive to be good enough to be loved when my love has never been conditional. You seek approval to feel worthy when your worth was set long before your first cry. You try to change yourself to please others, while I long only for you to return to the wholeness I first breathed into you, pure, true, alive with my breath. Your soul is exhausted from wearing the mask of perfection. Take it off. You do not have to be strong before me. It is when you admit your weakness that the door opens for divine strength to enter. I have seen you tangled in your own thoughts, like one standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. You hear many voices, the voice of fear, of guilt, of opinion, of expectation. But my voice is gentle, steady, and kind. It does not pressure, it does not accuse, it does not echo condemnation. It speaks with love. Come home. You do not need to go far nor understand everything. Just take one step toward me, and I will lead you the rest of the way. When your soul wanders through the shadows of confusion, remember my word in Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not emptiness, it is the space where I speak. When you stop running, when you sit in quiet and let your soul rest, I will calm your heart. Then you will begin to see that peace is not something to search for, but something that has always been within you, hidden beneath the noise. Peace is not in the future. It is here in this moment where I dwell. Do not let sin make you run from me. It is precisely when you fall that you need me the most. Adam once hid when he heard my voice, but I still called out, "Where are you?" Not because I did not know his hiding place, but because I wanted him to remember that I was still seeking him. From the dawn of time I have searched for mankind, and to this day I have never stopped seeking. My love never tires. You may turn your back, but I will not leave. You may forget me, but I remember every detail of you. You may close your heart, but I keep knocking. You may refuse, but I still wait. And even now I wait not on a high throne, but at the edge of your tears. The truth about your soul is this: it cannot find meaning in what is temporary. You could gather all the treasures of the world, and your soul would still feel empty. For you were not created for the temporal, but for eternity. Just as a fish cannot live outside the water, your soul cannot live apart from me. You were made to love, to connect, to dwell in my presence, where there is no fear, no shame, no pretense. That is your home. And no matter how far you wander, your soul remembers the way back. Every time you feel unsteady, it is the whisper reminding you that you are far from the living water. I do not require perfection to draw you near, only honesty. You may come to me in your brokenness, your doubt, your weariness, and I will still receive you. I am the Father who never changes. My love is not dependent on your feelings. Whether you believe or doubt, I love you. Whether you stand or fall, I love you. Whether you approach or withdraw, I love you. That love does not shift like the seasons fade like grass or vanish like mist. It existed before you ever learned to love, and it will remain long after all else passes away. So let that truth reach the depths of your being. Let it break the walls you've built around your heart. You no longer need to pretend, no longer need to prove your worth. You only need to be the beloved one, chosen and named by the Creator Himself. I know your frailty, yet I also know the divine potential I placed within you. I know your failures, yet I also know you have never been forsaken. I know your fear, yet I also know that the seed of faith within you is enough to move heaven. Do not look for peace in distant places. Find it in me, the source of all life. Let me place my hand upon your heart and speak. Peace be unto you. Then the waves within will grow still, the noise of the past will fade, and your soul will taste what true rest means. For you were not born to endure forever. You were born to be restored. You were not born to run endlessly. You were born to return. You were not born merely to exist. You were born to live in the fullness of my light. My beloved child, perhaps in the long dark nights you have asked yourself, if you truly love me. Why have you let me walk through so much sorrow? That question does not anger me. It moves my heart because it proves you are still seeking me even when you do not understand me. You are learning what every soul must learn, that true love is not the absence of trial, but my presence within it. My love is not a shield that keeps every storm away. It is the hand that holds you steady in the storm. It does not prevent every tear, but it dries each one with my own gentle nearness. From the dawn of creation, I stepped into the chaos and said, "Let there be light," and light came to be. So too, into the shadowed places of your soul, I say to you today, let there be light. I do not stand far off while you struggle. I step into the very place where you have fallen. When you weep, I do not turn away. I stoop down. When you are lost, I do not wait for you to find the path. I come to find you. When you collapse in the ashes, I do not scold. I lift you gently and breathe new life into you. For I am the one who began all things in love, and I am the one who continues all things by that same love. My child, my love is not limited by space-time or sin. It passes through every wall you build, crosses every chasm of fear, and shatters every chain of shame. Nothing can separate you from my love, not your past, not your present, not your failures, not the accusing voices, not the regrets that have wrung you dry. This love does not need to be invited because it is already here. It does not need to be deserved because it is my very nature. As light cannot cease from shining, my love cannot cease from pouring out. You once thought, I came only to the righteous. Yet I chose a humble stable for my birth, a shameful cross to display my glory, and tax collectors, deniers, and sinners as companions. Do not think I am far when you are weak. It is when you are broken that I am nearest. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 3:4-1-8. I do not wait for you to be perfect before I draw near. I come near to make you whole. I do not seek the strong, I seek the sincere. For I do not look at appearances, I look into the heart. You often imagine me enthroned on high, distant, and majestic, but I want you to know I am also the one who kneels to wash your feet, who wipes your tears, and who calls you by the true name I gave you. I am not only Lord of the highest heavens, I am Father to the smallest soul. I am not only the maker of the stars, I am the keeper of the flame within your chest. When you think I am absent, I am closer than ever. When you believe you are alone, I am within your embrace, quietly bearing the burdens too heavy for you. You see only silence, but I am at work. You see only darkness, but I am weaving light. Remember, I am never late. My timing is not bound by the world's clocks. When you think all is too late, that is often when I am preparing to do my greatest work. As Abraham believed when hope seemed gone and I gave him a son in old age, as Joseph was sold into slavery, yet in the prison I was writing the destiny of a prime minister. As Daniel in the lion's den faced what looked like an ending, yet it became a testimony to my faithfulness. So I am writing this same story over your life. You may not understand, but where I am present, everything has meaning. Not a single tear you have shed is wasted. Not a single step you have taken is pointless. I use all things to weave redemption. There are times I hide myself not to be far from you, but to teach you to know my presence by faith and not only by feeling. True love does not need to be felt to be real. As the sun still shines, though clouds conceal it so, my love abides, even when you cannot sense it. You will learn that faith is not a pleasant feeling, but the steadfastness that stands in the mist, the conviction that I am there, even in silence. The soul matures not on easy days, but on dark ones, when you still choose to trust, to wait, and to love. When I come, I do not arrive with the clamor of thunder, but with the gentleness of breath. I do not force your soul, I invite it. I do not shout, I whisper. I do not descend to make you afraid. I come to make you aware. My presence cannot be measured, but it can be known. It is the warmth in the cold night, the brush of wind upon your spirit, the moment you feel peace for no explainable reason. That is me, and I am there, not briefly, but forever. You ask, where are you when I am in pain? And I answer, I am in very pain. I do not merely observe suffering, I entered it. I carried it upon the cross. Every wound you bear, I have borne. Every tear you shed, I have shed first. Every loneliness you endure, I endured alone upon Golgotha. There is no isolation I do not understand, no betrayal. I have not faced no sorrow I have not tasted. You are not alone. When you kneel, I am already there. When you cry out, I am already listening. When you shatter, I gather the fragments and make them new. I do not need you to reach me, for I have already come to you. I crossed the abyss of sin and passed through the veil of death to bring you home. My love is not merely a promise, it is an act. It has been inscribed into history, in blood, confirmed by resurrection, and continued by the Holy Spirit. When you have no strength to move forward, remember, I have gone before you. When you are weary of the fight, remember I have already won. When you no longer know how to pray, remember the Spirit intercedes for you with groanings too deep for words. So let me enter not only the sacred places of your prayer hours, but also the rooms you lock, the hidden corners, the shame you carry, the wounds still unhealed. Let me touch them. Do not fear. My hand does not harm, it heals. My gaze does not condemn, it understands. My heart is not cold, it is moved by every sigh. I am not distant, I am nearer than your next breath. When you open your heart, I will do what no one else can do. I will renew your soul. My love is not a fire that destroys, but a refining flame that purifies. I do not come to take, but to give, not to frighten you, but to make you strong, not to cast you down, but to raise you to stand in glory. And when you become aware of my presence, fear will dissolve, doubt will quiet, and darkness will lose its power. You will know that there is no longer a distance between heaven and earth, between father and child, between your soul and love. For I have come, I am here. I am not only a story in Scripture, nor merely the God of the past. I am the present. I am speaking to you now. Let your heart open. Let my light soak into every corner within you. And you will see peace is no longer something you must search for, but is found to be me, the one you have been seeking all along. My beloved child, every true journey begins not when you step outward, but when you turn inward. You have traveled far, crossed many roads, and reached for many summits, yet now I invite you to pause, not to give up, but to look honestly into your own soul. Sometimes the hardest thing is not facing the world, but facing yourself. Will you dare to look deeply within, to the places you have avoided the wounds? You have ignored the fears you've hidden beneath composure. That is where I am waiting for you, the truest place of your being. The world teaches you that survival means control, that safety comes from plans, that security depends on holding tight. But I tell you, control is an illusion. You may prepare for everything, yet a single wind can shake all your plans. You may tread carefully, yet everything can change in a heartbeat. Life is not in your hands, and that is not tragedy, but freedom. For if you held the universe, you would collapse beneath its weight. But when I hold it, you can finally rest. You still try to keep everything within your grasp, your emotions, your future, your reputation, your relationships, even your image of yourself. You fear letting go because you think that if you release your grip, everything will disappear. But my child, it is that very grasping that steals your peace. You are trying to hold what was never meant to be controlled. Let me tell you a truth: you were not created to rule the universe, but to trust its creator. When you try to do what I never called you to do, you take on a burden that crushes the soul. But when you surrender, you become free. Letting go is not failure. It is not weakness. It is faith. When you release your hand, you are declaring that you trust mine. When you stop forcing outcomes, you open the door for me to move. As Abraham offered Isaac the most precious thing in his life, not because he loved less, but because he believed I could both give and preserve. So too, when you lay what you love upon the altar of surrender, I do not take it from you, I sanctify it. There is nothing I remove from your hands that I do not return in greater glory. Do you remember how often you have worried about the future, planning, calculating, striving only to end up exhausted? You thought I required your constant effort, but I was only asking for your trust. I do not need you to move the world. I need you to place your world in my hands. When you cling to control, you are saying, you do not trust me. But when you let go, you declare that I am better than anything you could imagine. My child, let me carry the burden you were never meant to bear. Let me be Lord, not just in heaven, but in your decisions, your days, your depths. I know the reason you fear surrender is because it feels like loss. You fear that if you let go, you will be left empty. But only the empty can be filled. Only open hands can receive. You wish to be filled, yet you hold on to what is old. You long for the new, yet cling to the familiar. You want to walk into what I have promised, yet refuse to leave the comfort of Egypt. But no one can enter the promised land while still carrying Egypt in their heart. No one can fly while still fearing to release the ground. My child, remember this. Everything you are holding is temporary. Fame fades. Wealth passes. People change. Feelings waver. But I do not change. If you anchor your hope in what is fleeting, you will always fear its loss. But if you place your trust in me, you will never be shaken. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever. Psalm 125:1. Peace does not come from knowing what will happen next, but from knowing who holds all things. Letting go is not a single act, it is a daily choice. Each morning you must decide again to trust, to yield, to rest. Surrender is not a destination, it is a way of living. I do not ask for perfection. I ask for sincerity. There will be days when you try to control again, when worry creeps back, when fear whispers loud. I will not rebuke you. I will simply remind you, my child, your hands are too small to hold the world. Place it back in mine, and when you do, you will feel the lightness of a soul freed from its burden. You once believed that strength was found in control, but true strength is found in release. Even my son in the Garden of Gethsemane prayed, Not my will, but yours be done. That surrender was not defeat. It was the greatest victory. In that moment of release, salvation entered the world. So too, when you surrender, you do not lose. You make room for miracles. You do not step away from blessing, you step into it. I know surrender feels like emptiness, but do not fear the emptiness, it means preparation. I am clearing space to make all things new. Like a farmer turning the soil before the seed is planted, I am breaking the old ground so new life may grow. You will feel pain, but it is the pain of transformation, not of destruction. You will feel loss, but it is loss that makes room for what is real. You will feel weak, but it is then that my strength is made perfect in you. You long for transformation, but transformation does not come through striving. It comes through surrender. You cannot change yourself by sheer will, for human nature is not healed by effort but by grace. I am not asking you to do better. I am asking you to let me. Let me shape, cleanse, restore, and renew your soul. Let me change not only your behavior but the root of your heart. For I do not want you merely to live differently. I want you to become new. When you lay everything down upon the altar, I will breathe life into it. When you release control, you will see my power unfold. When you say, "Your will be done," heaven opens. My child, I have prepared wonders beyond your imagination. But they come only to those who dare to trust, to release, to surrender. So I ask you today, are you willing to lay your burdens down? Are you willing to stop resisting and let me truly be Lord in your life? Are you willing to let go of your own will to embrace mine? If you do, you will witness what angels marvel to. Behold, a human soul set free. And as you walk in that freedom, you will feel as light as the wind's own wings, for you will no longer need to hold yourself up. The wind of my spirit will lift you. And remember, letting go does not end the journey, it begins a new one. A life no longer bound by fear, ruled by anxiety, or trapped by control. A life where you walk in peace, knowing that you do not need to know everything, you only need to know me. And I, who began the good work in you, will be faithful to complete it until the day of fulfillment. My beloved child, no one is transformed without passing through the fire. That fire is not meant to destroy, but to refine. It is not punishment, it is the instrument of love. When I allow the fire to touch your life, it is not because I am angry, it is because I long to reveal my glory in you. Gold cannot shine until it passes through the flame, and neither can your soul. Only through trial is the true strength of faith revealed. Only in affliction are the fragile things burned away, leaving behind what is real and eternal. I know you do not like the fire. No one enjoys being pressed, stretched, or broken. No one welcomes loneliness or pain. But my child, if you knew the purpose of the flame, you would thank me for it. The fire does not come to harm you, but to free you from what has kept you bound. It burns away. Pride purifies your motives and strips off the false layers that the world has placed upon you. It makes you genuine again, not a reflection of expectations, but the original image I carved within you before the dawn of creation. When I allow the fire to touch your life, I do not watch from a distance. I am on fire with you. Do you remember the 3 friends of Daniel? They were thrown into the furnace, yet the fire could not consume them, for there was a 4th man walking among them, and even the king cried out, "The 4th looks like a son of the gods." Daniel 3:2-5. My child, I am that 4th man. When you walk through fire, you are not alone. When you stand amid the storm, I am not absent. When you pass through the night, my light still surrounds you. You may not understand my plan, but you can trust my heart. Do not fear pain, for in my hands pain is never wasted. It becomes a tool of restoration. Just as the blacksmith strikes the steel to shape it, I use circumstances to mold your heart. I allow the blows not to break you, but to strengthen you. Every crack becomes a window for my light. Every breaking becomes a place for my fullness to dwell. Every tear you cry becomes a seed of hope watered by my love. No tear is meaningless when it falls in my presence. My fire is not like the fire of the world. The world burns to destroy. I burn to purify. The world scorches to punish. I ignite to revive. You thought you were losing, but within the fire you are being renewed. The vine must be pruned to bear fruit. The soil must be turned before it can yield a harvest. The soul must be stirred for divine life to rise. If I left you in comfort, you would never grow, but I love you too much to let you remain unchanged. Look back on the moments you thought you would break. Do you remember when everything collapsed, yet you emerged stronger? When you lost what you thought you couldn't live, without only to find I was opening a better way? That was proof that the fire didn't destroy you. It taught you how to truly live. You have learned patience, trust, compassion, and forgiveness. Every scar now testifies that grace is greater than the past. I know you long to understand everything. You ask, why did this have to happen? But my child, if I explained it all, you would have no need for faith. Some things I conceal not to wound you, but to protect you from the weight of knowing. If you knew it all, you could not bear it. That is why I invite you to trust, not when you can see, but when you cannot. Faith is not born in sunlight, it grows in shadow. It is not strengthened by applause, but by tears in the wilderness. And when you choose to believe, even as everything falls apart, that is when the fire has finished its holy work. Do not try to escape the furnace too soon. Do not run before the process is complete. If gold leaves the flame too early, it will be brittle and break. If you flee from trial, you will carry with you the impurities that keep my light from shining fully. Let me finish my work. My fire knows its limit. It will not go beyond what you can bear. No trial has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tested beyond what you can endure. 1 Corinthians 1:0-1-3. You will not be consumed, you will be reborn. Through the fire, you will begin to see differently. What once terrified you will become what you now treasure. What you once avoided will become what you now thank me for. The fire will show you who truly stands beside you and who walks away when the storm comes. It separates what is false from what is genuine, what is temporary from what is eternal. It will teach you to stop depending on people or on your own strength and to rest your trust entirely in me. When you emerge from the furnace, you will not be the same, your eyes clearer, your heart softer, your faith deeper. Remember, life can rise from ashes. A seed must be buried before it can sprout. Clay must be fired before it can be used. A pearl is formed only under pressure. So it is with your soul, it is shaped through trial. No suffering is wasted. Every scar is proof that you have lived, endured, and been touched by my hand. And now what once wounded you will become the instrument of healing for others. I have not promised you freedom from fire, but I have promised that the fire will not defeat you. I have not promised a life without tears, but I have promised that your tears will become rivers that water the dry places of your soul. I have not promised you will never lose, but I have promised that everything lost will be redeemed with something better. I have not promised understanding, but I have promised unceasing love, and that love will be your shield against all fear. So welcome the fire with trust. Do not pray for me to extinguish it too soon. Pray instead for strength to stand within it. There you will see me most clearly. There you will hear my voice in the stillness of the flame. And when the fire passes, you will not be ashes, you will be light. I will use you to ignite others. I will turn your burns into marks of glory. I will transform what the enemy meant for destruction into the very thing that magnifies my name. The fire of grace never burns without purpose. It consumes only what is false to reveal what is true. It takes away what is temporary to give what is eternal. And when you pass through it, you will understand not with your mind, but with your spirit, that in the fire I was nearer than ever. For true love does not stand outside the flame, it steps in and endures with you. And when you are refined, you will reflect my image more clearly than ever before. My beloved child, come close, and let me tell you of the image I have etched deep within Scripture, the image of the potter and the clay. For this is not merely an ancient story, but a living symbol of the bond between you and me. O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter does? Jeremiah 1:8-6. As the clay rests in the potter's hands, so you rest in mine. No part of your life escapes the touch of those hands, the very hands that formed you from dust and breathed into you the breath of life. You once thought that when a vessel broke, it was fit only to be discarded. But I tell you, not one fragment lies outside my plan. I do not throw away the clay because it is misshapen. I reshape it. I do not despair when the vessel cracks. I knead the clay again and begin anew. My child, it is in your breaking that I find the opportunity to create something better. There is no restoration without breaking, no rebirth without crushing. But fear not, for in my hands everything broken is destined to be made new. I am a patient potter. I do not hurry, nor do I abandon my work. As my hand turns the wheel of destiny, every rotation has purpose. At times I add water to soften the clay. At times I press down to shape it, and at times I place it in the fire that heat might harden its form. Each stage may discomfort you, but not one moment is wasted. Every masterpiece must pass through this process. You see the present, but I see completion. You feel the pain, but I see the beauty forming. You see destruction, but I see perfection approaching. I am not afraid of your cracks. In every fracture, I see an opening for my light to shine through. A flawless jar can hold water, but a cracked one allows the light to pass. What you call failure, I call the doorway to glory. I do not break you to punish. I break you to free you from the shape that no longer serves your calling. There are dreams, attachments, and beliefs that I must shatter to make you whole again. For some things cannot be renewed until you release what is old. Do you remember when I formed Adam from the dust? I did not use gold, silver, or gems. I used earth, humble, soft, fragile, yet moldable. The value was not in the material, but in the breath I placed within it. So it is with you. Your worth is not found in your past, your status, or your success, but in the breath of my life within you. Each time you break, I breathe new life. Each time you lose direction, I set you again upon the wheel. It is not failure. It is the continual creation of my love. I never mold the same shape twice. Each soul is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. I do not copy. I do not repeat. You need not become another. You need only become what I designed you to be. When you compare yourself to others, you step off my wheel. When you envy, you are saying, I have made a mistake. But I make no mistakes. Every curve and contour of your life, even the uneven ones, belong to my design. Even the cracks I use to create patterns, for I am not only creator, I am restorer. Sometimes I must crush the old vessel entirely and begin again. I know that frightens you. You fear being lowered, losing the familiar shape, losing control. But my child, I break only what can no longer hold what I am about to pour. You cannot hold new wine in old skins. You cannot enter the promise while still clinging to what I once told you to leave. Trust me, when I break, I do not destroy. I recreate. When I empty, it is to fill. When I stop you, it is to send you farther. I know there are moments when you feel like nothing more than fragments scattered and worthless. You look at your life and see chaos, but in my hands, fragments are not the end. I am the one who mends with gold. In Japan, they call it kintsugi, mending broken pottery with gold to make it more beautiful than before. Did you know I have done this since eternity? The blood of my Son is the heavenly gold that binds shattered souls. Where you once cracked, I make radiant. Where you once hurt, I make shine. Do not hide your scars. They are the testimony of grace. Every crack in your vessel is a place where my light escapes. You once wanted to cover them, but I say, let them tell my story. For no one is healed by those who have never bled. No one is comforted by those who have never wept. I use your weakness to touch others. I turn you from one once broken into a vessel of mercy. Some may look at your life and see only failure, but I see the masterpiece in progress. The world sees clay. I see the vessel. They see dust. I see the breath of life. They see cracks. I see windows for light. They see the past. I see the future. For I do not define you by what has been, but by what I am doing. You are not trapped by your mistakes. You are being shaped by grace. Let me keep molding you. Do not resist. Do not leap from the wheel before I am finished. You may feel pain when I press upon the tender places, but that is where healing begins. You may feel loss when I remove what you cling to, but that is because I am making room for something better. You cannot become strong without being remade. And I, the potter of your soul, will not stop until you reflect my image. When the work is done, I will set you upon a high shelf, not for display, but to shine. You will no longer be a cracked jar, but a vessel of life. You will carry the water of the gospel, pouring it into thirsty souls. You will stand as proof that no one is too broken to be restored, for there is no vessel too shattered in my hands, no life too late to begin again. Remember this: I do not seek perfect vessels. I seek willing ones. I do not require hardened clay. I look for clay that yields beneath my touch. When you learn the holy art of surrender, you will understand rebirth. Restoration comes not through striving, but through yielding. When you stop trying to preserve the old form, I will shape you into what you never dared to dream. When others look upon you, they will not merely see you. They will see me, the potter who makes miracles from dust. They will know that where grace dwells, nothing is wasted. Every crack can be filled with heaven's gold. Every broken soul can sing again. Every discarded vessel can become precious in the hands of the one who formed the stars. Be at peace, my child. I am not finished with you yet. The wheel still turns, the hands still mold, and my heart still loves. I never cease creating, and you, my masterpiece, are still being perfected day by day. Let this whisper echo within you. You are not abandoned. You are being shaped. You are not broken to be destroyed, but to be reborn in glory. My beloved child, I know forgiveness is not easy. Humanity binds pain to memory, and memory clings to the mind like carvings in stone. You have been hurt, betrayed, lied to, and dismissed. Some wounds do not bleed, yet they ache within, making you recoil whenever they return to mind. You believe that forgiving means excusing the wrongs of others. But my child, forgiveness is not agreement with sin. It is the refusal to let sin continue to bind you. Forgiveness does not erase justice. It opens the way for grace. Remember this: I never ask you to do what I myself have not done. When I looked upon humankind, those who turned their backs, rebelled, and denied me, I still said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Luke 2:3-4. Those words were not merely from a Redeemer, they came from a heart that loves to the very end. Forgiveness does not alter the past, but it releases the present. It cannot erase memory, but it purifies its poison. It does not make you forget, but it allows you to remember without pain. When you cling to resentment, you do not only imprison another, you imprison yourself. Bitterness is like a stone you carry each day. At first it feels small, but over time it grows heavy. It bends your back and exhausts your soul. It turns your gaze cold and your heart into a wasteland. You ask me for peace, but peace cannot live in a heart where hatred dwells. You long for healing, yet a wound cannot close if you keep reopening it through bitterness. Forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. Feelings may betray you, but a surrendered will leads you to freedom. Forgiveness does not demand that you feel affection toward another. It only asks that you choose to release the right to retaliate. You need not wait until your heart softens to forgive. It is forgiveness itself that brings healing to the heart. For forgiveness is not merely an act toward others, it is an act toward me. Each time you forgive, you walk in rhythm with my heart. You mirror my nature, the one who is kind, slow to anger, and abounding in mercy. I know you fear that if you forgive, you will be hurt again. You fear that those who wronged you will believe themselves justified. You fear that what they did will be forgotten. But, my child, justice does not rest in your hands. It rests in mine, the righteous judge. I do not overlook sin. Everything hidden will be revealed in the light. Forgiveness is not denial of truth. It is trust that I will handle it more justly than you ever could. When you forgive, you return judgment to the only one worthy to judge. Forgiveness may not change them, but it will change you. It unlocks the prison doors that confine your soul. When you say I forgive, you are saying I choose not to let the past dictate my future. You cut the cord that ties you to pain. You make room for joy, peace, and new life to enter. And I tell you this, the moment you forgive, heaven rejoices. For nothing reflects my love more clearly than a soul that releases hatred. You ask me, how can I forgive when the pain is still here? And I say, by remembering that you too have been forgiven. Forgiveness is born of humility. When you remember how you were rescued from your own sin, your heart opens more easily to others, not because they deserve it, but because grace has taught you how to love. You cannot seek grace for yourself and refuse to give it away. True grace does not flow through a closed heart. It pours through one softened by compassion. Forgiveness is not merely the end of a chapter, it is the beginning of rebirth. It frees you from the darkness of memory and opens the door for me to enter and heal. When you forgive, you are not saying that what they did was right. You are saying that the pain no longer rules you. You are declaring that I am greater than the wound and that my love is stronger than the hurt. Forgiveness is the bridge between humanity and heaven, between sorrow and grace, between brokenness and restoration. Perhaps the one you must forgive feels no remorse. Perhaps they will never say, I'm sorry. But forgiveness does not require an apology. It requires surrender. Forgiveness is a matter between you and me, not between you and them. You cannot wait for another to change before opening your heart, for that would keep you bound forever. Leave them in my hands and let your heart be free. When nothing binds you any longer, you will walk lightly like a flower carried by the wind because you no longer bear the weight of resentment. Forgiveness is an act only the courageous can perform, not because they are stronger, but because they trust that love is stronger than pain. Forgiveness says, I choose love when hatred would be easier. I choose silence over retaliation. I choose peace instead of victory. Forgiveness declares that the wound does not define you, I do. And when you do this, your soul expands, your heart deepens, and my light shines brightly within you. When you forgive, you plant the seed of freedom. It may be small, but it will grow, taking root deep within your soul and bearing the fruit of peace. You will sleep more soundly, speak more gently, smile more easily, for your heart will no longer be burdened by the past. Forgiveness is grace you extend to others, but you are the first to taste its sweetness. My beloved child, let me remind you of this. Those who have wounded you, I have seen them. The words you never spoke, I have heard them. The tears you tried to hide, I have counted them. And I promise you, nothing is forgotten. Every pain you place in my hands, I will turn into peace. Every loss you surrender to me, I will exchange for wholeness. Everything that seemed to be an ending will become the beginning of a story of redemption. For I am the one who can make ashes bloom and turn tears into a river of grace. Today I invite you to lay down the sword in your heart, the sword of resentment and the urge to exact justice by your own hand. Lay it upon the altar. Let me fight for you. Let me be your justice. You do not need to pay for what others have done. I have paid upon the cross. Therefore, do not hold on to what I have already carried. Do not let the verdict in your heart outlast the word, "It is finished," spoken from the cross. When you forgive, you will see the miracle unfold. The sky within you will grow brighter, the current of joy will return, and your soul will breathe with ease. Forgiveness is the doorway into freedom, and freedom is the gift I give to those who believe. My child, step through that doorway. Do not wait another day. Let go and allow my peace to fill every wound, for I am waiting on the far side of forgiveness, where you will learn what it means to live truly, love truly, and be truly free. My beloved child, bitterness is a poisonous root. It grows quietly deep within the heart, and once it takes hold, it winds through every chamber of the soul. It sharpens the tongue like a blade, chills the gaze, and drains the color from joy. Bitterness does not arrive in a moment. It enlarges over time, fed by unforgiven memories and words left unsaid. It slows your spirit, closes your heart, and lets your peace slip away. I have seen this in you not as an accusation, but as a word of mercy. For I know you do not wish to live with bitterness. You simply have not known how to release it. Bitterness promises it will keep you safe from being hurt again. It whispers, if you keep your distance, if you build walls, you will be secure. But that is a lie. The wall you build to protect yourself becomes the wall that imprisons you. It does not only keep others out, it keeps my light from coming in. You think you are escaping the pain, but you are in fact clutching it. Each time you rehearse the past, each time you let your mind circle the old wound, you water the root of bitterness, and once that root goes deep, it will choke the life of your soul. Only one power is strong enough to yank out that root: grace. Grace does not merely forgive, it recreates. It does not wipe the surface clean, it seeps into the darkest places. Grace is like a rain that washes dust from parched ground, like water soaking the barren earth until life awakens. When grace enters, bitterness loses its shelter. When my love floods in anger, melts like mist beneath the Sunday. No heart is too hard for grace to soften. No past is too black for light to pierce. You ask me, how can grace be so strong? Because grace does not come from human strength, it comes from me. Human forgiveness has limits, but mine does not. Human love stops at a threshold, but my love has no end. Grace is my very nature. It is not a reward for the worthy, but a gift for the surrendered. It rests not upon merit, but upon mercy. When you open your heart to grace, you allow me to do what you cannot do for yourself: heal the deepest places. You cannot clutch bitterness and keep peace at the same time. These two cannot coexist. Peace comes only when you choose to let go. Grace cannot flow through hands clenched around anger. You must release it. You do not need full understanding, nor must you feel ready. You need only to say, Lord, I cannot, but you can. When you say this, you open the door for grace to work. The power of healing lies not in your effort, but in my presence. And when you yield, the wind of the Spirit will move through your soul, sweeping away the dust of resentment and leaving room for peace to reign. Do you remember what I said to Paul? My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 1:2-9. So it is with you. My child, my grace is sufficient for you. You do not need to be strong to be healed. You need only be sincere to be made new. When you are weak, I am strong. When you are shattered, I mend. When you have no strength left, my grace will lift you up, and precisely in your weakness, my power is revealed. Bitterness is a chain, but grace is the key. When you receive grace, the chains fall. Your heart grows light, no longer haunted by the old memories. What once made you weep becomes your testimony. What once made you tremble becomes your lesson. What once wounded you becomes the place where grace is exalted. This is the secret of freedom. It does not come when circumstances change, but when the heart is made new. I know there are times when you cannot forgive at once. Some wounds cut deep, some words still echo, but you do not have to walk alone. Grace will walk each step with you. Each day you can say, "Today I choose to forgive a little more, and I will add my strength." Forgiveness is a process, and I am patient with that process. I am not angry that you still hurt. I only ask that you do not close your heart. For if there is even a narrow crack, my light is enough to enter. Be careful, my child, with the words you scatter. When you are bitter, for words carry power, the power to build or to ruin. Speak from anger, and you sow bitter seed. Speak from love, and you sow the seed of life. Therefore, let grace guide your words and your thoughts and the way you look upon others. Let me teach you to love where others see only fault. Let me teach you to see as I see, not through the lens of the past, but through the eyes of restoration. Grace does not erase boundaries, it reshapes them with love. Forgiveness does not mean allowing another to keep harming you. It means you choose not to let them define you anymore. You can forgive and still keep healthy distance. You can release and still honor your own dignity. Forgiveness is not a return to what is toxic. It is stepping away without carrying hatred with you, and only then are you truly free. Understand this. My child, freedom is not a misty idea. It is the condition of a soul living in grace. When you no longer bear the load of bitterness, the world grows brighter, people become easier to love, and you yourself become easier to be loved. You will not fear being hurt, for you know my grace is enough to cover you. You will not live trapped in the past, for you know the future rests in my hands. You will no longer see others through your wounds, but through love. This is the sign of true freedom, when the heart is healed and the spirit opens wide. I know how you long to be free. You have carried this burden long enough. It is time to set it down. Come near the altar, where grace is always overflowing. Kneel and say, "Father, I do not want to keep my bitterness anymore." When you speak these words, heaven will grow still, for that is the prayer of surrender. And as your tears fall, I will take them as oil poured over your dry soul, and they will become streams that water the garden of peace within you. Bitterness makes you resemble the world, but grace makes you resemble me. Bitterness builds walls. Grace builds bridges. Bitterness holds people in the dark. Grace opens the dawn. You were not made to live as a victim of your past. You were made to be a witness of redemption, and that begins when you let grace rule your heart. When you choose love over hatred, trust over fear, prayer over accusation, then you are living your truest nature, a child of the light. Let grace do its work. Do not hurry it, and do not force it. Simply allow me to soak through every dry place in you. With each day you will feel lighter, more peaceful, more free. Grace never arrives late. It always comes on time to bring you from bitterness to freedom, from fury to peace, from captivity to glory. And then you will understand that freedom is not the flight from pain, but the certainty that pain no longer holds power over you. My beloved child, fear is the quiet darkness the enemy plants in human hearts. It whispers that you are not enough, that you will be hurt again, that if you open your heart you will only lose once more. It makes you doubt what I have affirmed and question the very promises I have given. Fear is the cold wind that snuffs out the candles of hope, the veil that hides the light of love. But remember this: perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:1-8. Wherever love abides, fear cannot stand. I know you once believed fear would keep you careful, but fear does not protect you, it restricts you. It keeps you from loving, from trusting, from stepping forward. It urges you to raise walls instead of building bridges, to keep your distance instead of making connection. It makes you hesitant to pray honestly, to love sincerely, to live fully. You imagine you are avoiding risk, yet you are losing the very chances to experience me, for I do not dwell in fear, I dwell in love. I did not create you to live beneath the shadow of fear. I formed you to live in the light of love. You were not born to fret about tomorrow, but to trust in me. The one who has been in your yesterday is in your today and will be in your forever. You were not made to shrink back, but to walk tall in the identity of a child of the King. I know this world makes you tremble with its uncertainties, its wounds, its losses, but I tell you, fear does not have the final word. Love does, and that love is myself. My beloved child, when you allow my love to overflow within you, fear finds no shelter to hide. My love is not a distant promise. It is a stream flowing through the desert, a flame that warms the coldest night, the arm that holds you when you tremble. It does not ask whether you are worthy, only whether you are willing to receive. This love is not born of emotion, but of my very essence. When you let this love dwell in you, you are not merely comforted, you are transformed. For love does not only soothe pain, it renews the soul. My child, fear tells you that control is safety, but love whispers that surrender is protection. Fear says you must hide to avoid pain, but love says, you can open your heart, for I am there to heal. Fear silences you, but love gives you a song. Fear bows your head, but love lifts your face. Fear locks the door of your heart, but love turns it into a doorway where light pours through. I do not wait for your fear to vanish before I love you. I love you so that fear may vanish. When you tremble, I do not turn away. When you doubt, I remain patient. When you fall, I do not distance myself. My love does not change with your emotions. It is steady, enduring, eternal. You may stumble 1,000 times, yet my love will lift you 1,001. This love is not founded on feeling, but on covenant, and that covenant was signed in the blood of the Lamb in my life poured out for you. When love leads, everything changes. You begin to see others through mercy, not judgment. You see beauty within the broken, for you yourself were shown mercy in your wounds. You no longer need to hide because you know you are accepted. You no longer need to prove yourself because you know you are loved. Then you live no longer to grasp but to give, no longer to defend but to reflect grace. My love does not erase every trial, but it gives you strength to stand within it. It does not promise to silence every storm, but it promises that in the storm I will hold your hand. It does not promise an easy road, but it promises that you will never walk alone. You will know that even in tears you are loved, even in failure you have worth, even in confusion. You still have purpose, for your worth does not come from success, but from my unfailing love. When true love enters, fear melts away like morning mist before dawn. Love does not argue with fear. It shines, and the darkness retreats. You do not need to fight fear in your own strength. Simply invite me in. When light comes, darkness disappears. When love comes, fear has no place left to dwell. Let my love be the house you live in, the breath you take, the lamp that lights your path. Those who live in love do not fear loss, for they know what truly belongs to them will never leave. They do not fear being forgotten, for their names are engraved upon my heart. They do not fear loneliness, for I am with them. They do not fear death, for they have found eternal life in me. When you understand this, love worry loses its chains. You will live lighter, freer, and fuller of hope, for my love is an unending spring, and you are invited to drink deeply of it. Let me teach you to love as I love, not with condition, not for return, but with the heart that gives. When you learn to love without fear, you will know what true life is. True life is not measured by heartbeat, but by love's rhythm. Not every breath is life. Only those drawn in by grace and breathed out in mercy are truly living. And when you live this way, the world around you changes, for love always carries life wherever it goes. It is time, my child, to live, not in the reactions of fear, but in the response of love. When you do, you will see you no longer strive to be enough, for you are enough in me. You no longer chase acceptance, for you are already accepted. You no longer struggle to be strong, for you are already held. You will walk lightly as one who knows to whom they belong. The night may still surround you, but it will no longer live within you. Remember this, my beloved one, love is not a reward for the perfect, but medicine for the broken. You do not need to be fearless to be worthy of love. It is my love itself that drives fear away. When you open your heart to me, fear withdraws and life enters. Then you will see, not with eyes, but with spirit, that you have been reborn, not in theory, but in truth, not merely forgiven, but set free. Let my love dissolve fear, and let grace open the path to life. Let me become your heartbeat, your breath, the reason you exist. Live in love, for that is the place you were created to dwell. When you are in love, you are in me. And when you are in me, nothing can make you afraid. For my love is perfect, and in that perfect love you will find yourself again free, radiant, and fully alive. My beloved child, I know your mind has grown accustomed to movement. You have long believed that you must do something to prove that you are worthy. But grace is not purchased through effort, it is received through stillness. Remember, I am not found in the earthquake, nor in the storm, nor in the fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 1:9-1:2. Elijah met me not in the thunder, but in the soft breeze. And you will meet me in the same way, not in the noise of the world, but in the silence of your soul. Stillness is the language of heaven. It has no words, yet it carries life. In stillness you do not need to understand, you only need to be. You will see me not through speech, but through presence. When your heart grows quiet, it becomes like a calm lake, and I, like the sky, reflect upon it. Stillness is not the absence of sound, but the presence of peace. It is the sacred space where you realize you are not alone, not forgotten, not striving to be seen. For I have always been here waiting for you to notice. Learn, my child, to withdraw from the noise, not to escape, but to be renewed. Just as Jesus often withdrew from the crowds to pray with the Father, so must you find your moments of solitude. For only in stillness can you hear the gentle wind of the Spirit guiding you. Only in stillness can you discern what is worth keeping and what must be released. The world will urge you to run, but I invite you to sit. It will push you to speak, but I call you to listen. It will make you worry about tomorrow, but I teach you to rest in today. My beloved one, I am not far away. You do not need to climb high mountains or cross wide seas to find me. Simply step into stillness, and you will see that I have been here all along. I dwell in your breath, in your heartbeat, in the quiet space between two thoughts. When you stop speaking, I begin to converse. When you stop striving, I begin to act. When you stop worrying, I begin to comfort. I do not seek perfection in your prayers. I seek sincerity. Stillness is where sincerity awakens. In stillness, all that is false falls away. The voices of insecurity, the burdens of expectation, the masks you wear to survive, all dissolve until only you and I remain. No titles, no roles, no pressure, only two souls, one who loves and one who is loved. There you will understand I do not love you for what you can do, but for who you are. Your very existence is my delight. I do not need you to serve me. I desire you simply to love me. And when you grasp this truth, peace will settle deep within you. My child, stillness is not a destination, it is a meeting place. It is the space where time pauses and eternity opens. When you sit in silence and whisper, Lord, I am here, Heaven replies, I am here too. All distance disappears, all anxiety fades, and you return to your origin, to the place where you and I once shared a single breath. Stillness is the invitation to return home. Therefore, my child, let your heart grow quiet. Leave the clamor of the world behind. Turn off the voices that blur my whisper. Sit in the soft light of my presence and let me speak through silence. You no longer need to fear stillness, for within it you will find me, the one who loves you, even in your confusion, who waits for you, even in your wandering, who calls you, even before you are ready. I am here, my child, in this very moment. Not in the thunder, not in the flash of lightning, but in the deepest calm of your soul. Come sit with me, and let my breath cover you. I long to whisper to you, not through words, but through my nearness. Let stillness become your song, let silence become your prayer, and let each breath become your worship. For in that sacred quiet, you and I will meet again, not with eyes, but with hearts. My beloved child, silence is the first language the soul ever understood, long before you learned to pray with words. For I have spoken to you in silence since before you were born, and I am still speaking in that same silence today. When the world grows loud, when your thoughts grow tangled, when emotions churn like waves, you often think I am silent. But in truth, I am speaking on a frequency that only a listening heart can perceive. My child, I do not hide my voice. I am teaching you to hear with your spirit, not merely with your ears. The world teaches you to speak, but heaven teaches you to listen. For listening is an act of love. The one who loves knows how to listen, and the one who listens will touch what lies beyond words. You often think that prayer means saying much and explaining clearly, but the deepest prayer is learning to be still so that you may hear me speak. Some truths are revealed only in the quiet. You cannot hear the wind if you keep stirring the water. Likewise, you cannot hear me if your heart is restless. My child, you do not have to strive to hear me. You only need to stop striving. For when you try too hard, you will hear your own voice more than mine. Let go of all your expectations about how I should speak. I may speak through scripture, through dreams, through another soul, through creation, or simply through a gentle stirring within. At times I speak through long silence, not because I am distant, but because I am teaching you to trust. I want you to know that presence does not always require sound to be real. Just as breath is unseen yet keeps you alive, my voice may not always be audible, yet it sustains your soul. Do not fear silence. That fear comes from a mind unaccustomed to stillness. But your soul was born from the quiet of eternity. It has always longed to return there. When you enter silence, you do not lose connection. You are returning to your center where I dwell. Many seek me in miracles, in power, in thunder, but I often come in the breath. I have no need to impress through storms. I choose the gentle wind so that you will not fear, for I do not come to frighten you, I come to draw you near. Listening to me is not a passive act, it is living communion. It requires faith, patience, and a heart that knows how to wait. When you listen, you give me the chance to speak and give yourself the chance to be transformed. You will discover that what I speak is not merely words, but life itself. One word from me can heal, rebuild, and erase years of pain. For my words are spirit and life. They do not come to satisfy the intellect, but to awaken the soul. As you learn to listen, you will recognize my voice among the many. My voice is never hurried, never chaotic, never anxious. It is gentle, yet carries authority. It brings peace, never condemnation. If a voice brings fear, unrest, or drives you away from me, it is not mine. My voice draws you closer, not farther. It lifts you up, not tears you down. Let this be your compass amid the noise of the world. I know there are moments when you cry for an answer and all you receive is silence. You think I have forgotten, but I am working in the stillness. Like a seed buried in the earth, it is silent, yet it lives. I am silent, yet I am moving. I have not ignored a single prayer. I am answering in ways you do not yet understand. My silence is never absence. It is an invitation to come nearer, deeper, quieter. For some things can only be heard when you stop speaking, stop demanding, stop trying to explain. Do you know why I love to speak through silence? Because only when you are still do you become real. When you no longer try to be the strong one, the holy one, the one who prays correctly, then you are most authentic. And it is that true self I desire to speak with. When you stop performing, I can touch you. When you stop proving, I can reveal myself. When you stop fearing, I can speak freely. Silence opens the way for intimacy. In stillness, you and I are no longer two separate beings. I am the breath and you are the one who inhales it. Remember, listening is not for knowing more, but for becoming more. When you listen to me, you do not just receive information, you are transformed. My voice carries creative power. It does not merely teach life, it imparts life. When I said, "Let there be light," light appeared. When I say to you, "Peace, be still," peace comes. When I whisper, "Do not fear," fear must flee. Every word I speak carries the power to create and to renew. Therefore, let my words become the breath of your soul. Let them sink in, merge, and become part of who you are. Listening to me is the art of patience. You cannot hear me in haste, as one flipping through pages searching for an answer. You must sit, wait, and open your heart. And in that waiting, the soul softens. The world teaches you to react. I teach you to reflect. The world urges you to speak. I teach you to pause. The world demands explanations. I invite you to trust. For the deepest truths are not spoken, they are felt. My child, practice silence as you practice breathing. Each day, set aside a moment not to do, but simply to be. Let your mind stop running, let your heart grow still, and let my presence settle upon you. Then you will see something wondrous. Silence will no longer frighten you. It will become sacred. It will no longer feel empty, but full. No longer heavy, but light. No longer lifeless, but alive with my presence. When you master the art of listening, you will never again feel alone, for I am always speaking. There is no day when I am truly silent, only days when your heart has not yet quieted to hear. I speak in the bird's song, in the fall of rain, in the warmth of sunlight, in the words of scripture, and even in the pause between your heartbeats. Everything around you is a symphony I have written, waiting for you to stop and listen. And when you truly listen, you will realize that all creation is singing, "I am here." Let silence become the teacher of your soul. Let stillness carve in you the lesson of presence. Let emptiness become the sacred space where I enter in. For in silence, you lose nothing, you find everything. In silence, you are not alone, you find me. And when you listen, not with ears, but with your heart, you will understand that I have never stopped speaking, I have only been waiting for you to listen. My beloved child, when your soul has passed through the darkness, through the waters, through the fire, and through the silence, and now stands in the vast expanse of boundless peace, that is the moment you have entered into perfect communion with me. This is no longer the relationship of the seeker and the one sought, but the merging of two spirits, mine and yours, moving together in the shared rhythm of eternal life. Here there is no boundary between prayer and breath, between worship and existence, between heaven and earth. All has become one continuous sacred song sung in the stillness of the soul. Communion is not the flight of emotion, but the harmony of being. When you love, you live in me. When you forgive, you reflect on me. When you kneel to wash another's feet, you are doing my work. Communion is when your will dissolves into mine, when you no longer need to ask, "What is your will?" because your heart already beats in tune with it. Then your prayer is no longer, "Lord, please come," but "Lord, you are here." There is no more distance, no more waiting, only the eternal union of love. My child, This is the destination of the journey, not a place, but a state of being. When the soul rests fully in me, it no longer strives to love, to believe, or to worship. All these things become its nature, like flowers opening when touched by sunlight, like rivers flowing toward the sea. The soul no longer asks, "How do I remain in God?" for it has become part of God Himself. Like a drop dissolving into the ocean, you do not vanish. You become complete. You are not lost. You are lifted into the wholeness of light. When you abide in me, all boundaries fade. You are no longer bound by time, by fear, by the past, or by the flesh. You step into the unbroken current of divine life, where everything carries sacred meaning. Every glance becomes a blessing, every breath a form of worship, every silence a hymn of praise. The world may continue to turn, but you are changed. You are no longer swept away by its motion, for you have found the center, me. And when your soul is anchored in that center, no storm can move you. This, my child, is what the saints once experienced, the indescribable union of spirit and spirit. Moses had to veil his face when my glory shone from within him. That, Paul declared, "It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me." Galatians 2:20. And Jesus in his final hour prayed, "That they may be one as you, Father, are in me, and I in you." John 1:7-1. That prayer is still my desire for you, that you may not only know me, but live in me. Not merely speak of me, but reflect me. Not only worship me, but become the dwelling place of my presence. Communion is not something you create, it is something you allow. It does not come through striving, but through surrender. When you stop trying to hold on, I can hold you. When you stop trying to understand, I can reveal. When you stop running, I can draw near. Communion is the awakening to the truth that there was never any distance between us, only forgetfulness. And when you remember, your soul returns home. I do not come from the outside. I have always been within. My presence is the breath you draw, the beat of your heart, the light that shines in your eyes when you love. In the place of communion, you will no longer seek religious emotions, for you have found divine reality. Emotions rise and fall, but communion endures. It does not depend on circumstance, for it surpasses feeling. When you are in communion, you can stand in a crowd yet remain still, live in the storm yet remain at peace, be misunderstood yet still love. For I am the peace within you, not the peace the world gives, but the peace that transcends understanding, the peace the world cannot give and cannot take away. When you are in me, prayer becomes simple. You no longer need many words for you. Live in constant exchange with me. A glance, a breath, a thought turned toward me, all are prayers. You do not need to call for my presence. You need only awaken to it. Just as fire needs only a breath to reignite the ember, your soul needs only awareness to rekindle my flame within. Communion does not take you out of the world. It teaches you to love it rightly. You no longer flee from people. You love them without demand. You no longer fear suffering, for you see the seed of resurrection within it. You no longer fear darkness, for you know that my light is within you. When you are in me, you become a river of grace flowing through the earth. You not only receive love, you become its vessel. Those who touch you will feel my warmth, even if they do not know my name. Do not think that communion is far away, reserved for the holiest souls. It is the inheritance of all who love me sincerely. You need not be perfect, only willing. I do not ask that you know every doctrine, only that your heart be true. When you long for me, that longing itself is the doorway, and once I enter, nothing can make me leave. I do not withdraw when you are weak. I draw you closer. I do not turn away when you fall. I whisper, "Rise, my child," for communion with me is not built upon perfection, but upon love. When the soul has tasted communion, nothing on earth can compare, Fame becomes dull power, meaningless, and even the world's most beautiful dreams seem small. You begin to understand that true joy is not about gaining but belonging, not about having more but becoming one. In communion you will cease to ask, "Where is God?" For you will see me in everything, in the laughter of a child, in the falling rain, in the beating of your own heart. Remember, communion is both the destination and the beginning. For when you are in me, I will send you forth, not away from me, but carrying me to others. You will become my words in the world, my hands touching the broken, my comfort for the weary. I will not keep you hidden forever in stillness. I will send you back into the world bearing the light of communion to illuminate it. For true love does not only seek union, it radiates to redeem. If in your quiet moments you suddenly feel a peace too deep to name, it is I who am there. If tears fall without sorrow, it is your soul touching mine. If you begin to see holiness in everything, in the wind, in the falling leaves, it means you are seeing through the eyes of communion. Stay there. Do not grasp it. Do not analyze it. Simply be present. For communion cannot be held. It can only be lived. You and I no longer two but one. When you breathe, I move. When you love, I am. When you are still, I speak. When you live, I rejoice. And when you return, I am made complete. For I created you not only to worship me, but to become the place where I am revealed. And when that happens, heaven is no longer far away, it lives within you. My beloved child, when the night has reached its fullness, the dawn must come. When stillness has deepened, life will rise again. And when your soul has rested in communion, that is when my spirit begins the work of resurrection. No winter lasts forever. No night endures without a final light. So lift up your head, my child, for the light is coming, not the light of the sun, but the light within you, the light of resurrection shining from my own life now, alive in you. I once said to Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live, even though they die. John 1:1-5. Those words are not only for the departed, they are for every soul that has fallen asleep in despair, in sin, in fear. My resurrection light does not merely awaken the body, it first awakens the soul. When that light touches you, the withered parts within will come alive again. Faith that had grown cold will warm. Joy that had faded will kindle. Hope that seemed lost will blossom anew. Resurrection is not an event, it is a process. It begins in stillness, unfolds in light, and finds its fullness in surrender. No one can enter resurrection without dying to what was. There can be no new day if you do not release yesterday. That is why before the light of resurrection shines, I must lead you through the night. Not to punish, but to renew. Not to take away, but to return things in a purer, more enduring form. You once asked me why I allowed certain things in your life to fall apart. I know you have grieved, trembled, and thought I had left you. But now you will see everything I permitted to break was for your rebirth. For only when the seed breaks can life sprout. Only when tears fall can the soul be watered. Only when the old dies can there be space for the new to enter. I do not ask you to understand, only to trust that everything that dies in me will rise again in life. My child, the light of resurrection does not arrive as a blinding flash, but as dawn weaving gently through the mist. It is soft, yet steady, inviting, rather than forcing, quiet, yet unstoppable. When this light fills your spirit, invisible chains begin to dissolve. You may not know why your heart feels lighter, calmer, freer, because it is not a change of mind but of being. My spirit is working deep within the hidden chambers of your soul where words cannot reach, where only you and I exist. Do not fear when I awaken you. Awakening can ache because it reveals what you once refused to see. Yet that ache is a sign of life. The dead feel nothing, only the living sense the stirring of spirit. When you feel unsettled, confronted, or shaken, that is when I am making you alive. Let my spirit move through your soul like wind over the sea, stirring what was stagnant, turning still waters into waves that reflect my light. Do you know, my child, that in the garden tomb, when all believed the story was over, I rose in silence. There was no thunder, no crowd, no parade, only a new breath in a room that still smelled of stone. Resurrection began in stillness, and from that stillness the universe shifted. So it is with you. The resurrection within your soul may come quietly unseen by others, but when the moment arrives, your whole life will blaze like dawn after a long night. You cannot live again unless you let me step into the places of your death. You often invite me only into what is bright, strong, or holy. But I say to you, invite me into what is weak, what is hidden, what you fear the most. For only there can resurrection light truly shine. I do not stand outside your darkness. I enter it so that light may be revealed from within. When you open the door for me to step into what you conceal, you will witness the wonder darkness loses its power. When I rose from the tomb, I did not only step out for myself, I drew all humanity out of despair's depths. And now as I rise in you, you carry that same power, the power to raise, not only for yourself, but for those around you. You will become a bearer of resurrection light, one who walks into the pain of others, not to judge, but to bring hope, one who enters extinguished hearts and rekindles them with the breath of grace. For whoever has been raised by grace knows how to call life forth in others. Resurrection light fills you when your heart softens, when you can forgive what once angered you, when your tears fall not from bitterness but from clarity, when you look back and no longer see wounds but witnesses of redemption. That is the sign of true life. Light does not come only to expose, it comes to heal. It does not merely shine upon, it transforms. And as you dwell in that light, everything around you begins to change, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Resurrection is not a return, it is a becoming. It is not going back to what was, but stepping into what is new. I do not restore what is old, I make all things new. I do not rebuild the old house, I raise a new city within your soul. Then you will see what seemed lost was only being replaced by something deeper, stronger, more divine. When you see through resurrected eyes, all becomes holy. Every loss holds meaning. Every tear holds a seed of glory. Do not only believe that I have risen, let yourself rise in me. Do not only say that I am the life, let that life flow through you. Do not merely praise the light, let that light blaze in your eyes, your words, your deeds. For true resurrection is not external, it is internal. When the soul is set aflame, life itself becomes a hymn of glory. Let that light lead you out of darkness. Let it reach the hidden corners you thought no one could touch. Let my spirit shake, renew, and resurrect everything that once died. For I have not come to judge, but to resurrect, not to condemn, but to give life, not to reopen old wounds, but to rewrite the story in the ink of grace. Now the darkness holds no claim over you. Death no longer grips your soul. You have passed through the night, through stillness, and now the light is calling. Step out from the tomb of fear, from the chains of sin, from the ashes of the past. For I, the living one, am within you. My breath moves in your chest. My resurrection light burns within your soul, and the world will see not through your words but through your very being that I am alive. My beloved child, after the soul has been resurrected, my spirit begins to teach you how to live within that new life. You no longer belong to the night but to the day. You no longer walk in fear but in power. You are no longer governed by fleeting emotions but led by the living Spirit. Now every breath you take is not the old breath, it carries the very wind of heaven's authority. When I breathed into Adam, he became a living soul. And when I breathe upon you, you become a sent soul. I know you are familiar with the old ways, old thoughts, safe patterns, comfortable limits. But the light of resurrection does not come to maintain. It comes to transform. My Spirit does not rebuild the life you once had. He creates a completely new one. You will find yourself changed, not only in what you do, but in how you feel, how you think, and how you see. What once made you tremble will become the ground on which you stand. What once made you doubt will become the wellspring of deeper faith. What once silenced you will now become the place where you speak with authority. My child, life in the Spirit is unlike any life you have known. It is not ruled by rigid laws, but by love. It is not based on achievement, but on surrender. It does not chase outcomes, but cultivates connection. When the Spirit leads you, you will learn to live by heaven's rhythm, not the rhythm of the world. The world runs to attain, you rest to receive. The world clings to keep, you release to overflow. The world relies on its own strength, you rely on mine. Many believe that life in the Spirit is a chain of supernatural experiences, miracles, visions, and signs. But I tell you truly, the greatest miracle is not to perform the extraordinary, but to live each day in peace and love. True power is not in thunder, but in the ability to stay calm within the storm. The real wonder is not moving mountains, but moving bitterness out of the heart. My Spirit can raise the dead, yet He also teaches you gently to forgive, to love, to endure, and to trust. Let my Spirit lead you. He is wind, you cannot control him, but you can raise your sail. Do not try to make the wind follow your will. Learn to turn your heart toward his direction. He knows your destination even when you cannot see the path. When you stand at a crossroads, be still and whisper, "Holy Spirit, lead me." He will answer not with noise, but with peace. When peace settles in your soul, when rest quiets your fears, that is the sign that he is guiding you. Remember, to live in the Spirit is to live in freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you please, but freedom from whatever once bound you. When the Spirit dwells in you, the chains of fear break, the bonds of sin loosen, and the shadows of regret fade away. You will realize that freedom does not come from changing circumstances, but from a renewed perspective. When you see through the light of the Spirit, what once frightened you becomes an opportunity for grace. What once crushed you becomes the foundation of your faith. The Spirit comes not only to comfort, but to equip. He does not merely wipe your tears. He places the sword of the Word in your hand. He does not only soothe, he trains. He teaches you to fight not with anger, but with faith. He teaches you to speak not with argument, but with truth. He teaches you to love not through emotion, but with divine strength. You no longer fight alone, for I now fight through you. No enemy outside can harm you, for the victor lives within you. My child, there will be times when the Spirit leads you into the wilderness, as he once led my son there. But do not fear. The wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. There you will learn that my word is stronger than temptation, and my presence greater than loneliness. The Spirit does not lead you to abandon you. He leads you to reveal that you are strong enough to stand. And when you emerge from that wilderness, you will not be the same. You will come out with clearer eyes, softer heart, and deeper faith. Life in the Spirit does not promise a world without trials, but it promises that trials will no longer overcome you. You may still feel pain, but pain will no longer define you. You may still cry, but your tears will water new harvests. You may still battle, but now you know who fights within you. The Spirit transforms you from a fugitive into a warrior, from a victim into a vessel of victory. He does not change the burden, he strengthens your shoulders. Let the Spirit teach you to walk day by day. He will show you when to rest and when to move. He will give you wisdom to speak at the right time and to be silent at the right moment. He will open your eyes to see what others overlook, the opportunities hidden in adversity, the miracles concealed in the ordinary. His presence will make even the smallest moments sacred. You will learn that no moment is meaningless when you live aware that I am there. I did not give you my Spirit merely for comfort, but for calling. The flame upon you is not just to warm, it is to shine. The Spirit will place within you a mission, a calling, a work that only you can do. And as you walk in it, your life will become a stream of grace for others. When you speak, hearts will awaken. When you love, lives will heal. When you pray, heaven will move. That is the power of a renewed soul, not born of your strength, but of my Spirit living in you. Do not fear if you do not yet know where you are going. Even Abraham did not know his destination, but he walked by faith. Like the wind, my Spirit blows where he wills. You do not need to understand, only to trust and follow. I do not promise that you will always comprehend the path, but I promise you will never walk alone. My Spirit is your most faithful companion. He will speak when you need words, stay silent when you need faith, lift you when you stumble, and sing over you when you grow weary. This new life is not a journey of striving, but a dance of grace. The Spirit is the music, and you are the movement. As you flow with His rhythm, every step becomes an expression of freedom. Even when you misstep, He does not scold, He simply guides you back into sync. For the goal is not perfection, but communion. And when you let Him lead, you will discover the wind does not just push you forward, it lifts you higher. My beloved child, life in the Spirit is a journey without end. Each day unveils a deeper layer. Each moment extends a new invitation. Yesterday you knew me as Redeemer. Today you know me as Guide. And tomorrow you will know me as the life within you. This is the abundant life I have promised. Not a life without change, but a soul that never runs out of life. My child, the light of resurrection was never given for you to keep hidden in peace. It was given that you might shine within the world, where darkness still tries to swallow faith, where hearts still wander in despair, where souls still hunger for a spark of real hope. You have been resurrected not only to live, but to become a living testimony of my power. Remember, when I stepped out of the tomb, the world did not yet know what had happened, but when even one person was touched by that light, history changed forever. And now you are the bearer of that same light, not a borrowed flame, but one burning from my own Spirit alive within you. When I breathed resurrection into you, I did more than awaken your soul, I gave you a commission. The world longs not for those who merely speak of me, but for those who live me. Not for those who describe the light, but for those who are the light. I do not need decorative lamps. I need real fire. The flame does not have to be large, it only needs to be true. For genuine light, no matter how small, will always conquer the deepest dark. You do not have to be perfect to shine. You need only to be faithful to keep burning. My beloved, I am sending you into the world not to blend in, but to illuminate. The world does not need more judges, it needs carriers of hope. It does not need more condemnation, it needs restoration. You are sent as a messenger of life. When you enter places full of bitterness, let your kindness melt it away. When you pass through places gripped by fear, let your peace quiet the storm. When you meet those without hope, let your eyes bring them light. You need not persuade with words, only be present in love. For wherever love is, there I am. The power of resurrection is not strength to rule, but the ability to love. It does not lift you above others. It teaches you to kneel and serve. It does not crown you with a throne. It wraps a towel around your hands. Do not think power is given to prove your worth, it is given to give life. When you love the unlovable, when you forgive those who wounded you, when you pray for your enemies, when you smile in suffering, that is when resurrection power flows through you. Light was not made to avoid darkness, but to enter it. Do not fear the shadowed places, for it is there that light is most visible. Do not flee from chaos, for grace works strongest there. I have not placed you in the world so that you might escape it, but so that you might prove that light is greater than the night. Live in the world, but do not belong to it. Love people, but let not their sin harden your heart. Speak truth, but without bitterness. Stay calm amidst the storm, for the peace within you is proof that I am there. The world is not changed by noise, but by light. Light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines. Do not try to convince others that I am real. Let your life be the evidence. When people see patience, kindness, faith, and peace in you, they will recognize me without a word. You are a living letter, written not with ink but with the Spirit, each act of grace, another line of divine handwriting. Let your daily actions become the sentences of my mercy. There will be times when you feel alone on this path, for true light always meets true darkness. You may be misunderstood, rejected, or even mocked. But do not fear. I walked that same road. They tried to extinguish me, yet my light still burns. So do not fear being small, fear losing your flame. Do not worry if no one sees worry, if no one feels your warmth. When your only aim is to please me, even if the world turns away, heaven smiles upon you. Resurrection power does not remove suffering, it transforms it into glory. My presence does not eliminate the struggle, it turns it into an altar. When you endure with faith, pain becomes a seed that blossoms. When you keep loving through heartbreak, you become more like me than ever before. And that my child is the greatest power, the power to love without condition. The world exalts conquerors. I honor the humble. I do not call you to do great things before men, but to do faithful things before me. Light does not need a stage. It only needs a dark place to shine. Do not seek to stand out. Seek to stand firm. Do not live to make others remember you. Live so they remember me. When you walk in truth, even quietly, creation itself feels the pulse of that light. A whispered prayer can alter the course of a soul. A single act of love can shift the destiny of a generation. My child, the world is starving for light. People search in fame, in wealth, in pleasure, and find only emptiness. The light they seek is me living in you. Do not think your life is small. Every time you forgive instead of retaliate, you are changing the spiritual atmosphere. Every time you choose honesty over compromise, you open the door for truth to enter. Every time you pray for one who hurt you, you defeat darkness with love. Live, knowing that every choice you make touches eternity. Do not let fear make you hide your light. A lamp is not placed under a bed but on a stand, to give light to all around. I have placed a fire within you, not to be concealed, but to spread. Speak boldly of grace, tell of miracles, share love freely. The world needs to hear, to see, to feel through you. When you live in resurrection power, you no longer say, Lord, please use me, but Lord, I am being used by you. Remember, the light of resurrection is not just something you carry, it is something you become. It lives in your eyes when you look upon others with compassion. It lives in your voice when you speak encouragement. It lives in your hands when you lift the weary. It lives in your peace amid the storm. And every time you choose love over fear, faith over doubt, forgiveness over revenge, you let that light blaze across the world. The world is waiting for you, not for a perfect one, but for a real one. One who has fallen and been raised. One who has broken and been mended by grace. One who knows that every wound can become a window for light to pass through. Go not with pride, but with humility. Not to prove, but to pour out. Not to conquer, but to sow hope. For I have risen, and you have risen with me to bring light to this world. When you live in the power of resurrection, you are no longer who you once were. You become the living proof that darkness has lost, that love is stronger than death, that eternal life is already at work in this very moment. Live as one who is the light. Walk as one who has been lit. Love as one who has been redeemed. And when the world looks upon you, they will see, not just you, they will see me, the one who called you out of darkness into my marvelous light. My beloved child, when the soul has walked through the night of testing, passed through the fire of refinement, risen in the light of resurrection, and been led by my Spirit into new life, then you have reached the highest stage of the prebio spiritual journey, the place where you no longer merely follow me, but are one with me. Here your will no longer stands apart from heaven's will. It melts, fuses, and flows as one current. There is no longer my will or thy will, but only the will of love. My child, union with heaven's will is not the surrender of the weak, but the strength of the soul that has mastered the art of letting go. True strength is not in controlling everything, but in trusting the unseen hand of the Father. When you cease trying to bend the universe to your desire, you begin to move in rhythm with its heartbeat. And then you will see what once confused you begins to align, what once frightened you becomes clear. For heaven's will is the order of life, while self-will is the root of chaos. I know you have held many dreams, plans, and longings. I do not despise them, for I am the one who planted them within you. Yet every seed must first die before it grows. When you let your old dreams fall to the ground and dissolve, the seed of the Father's will begins to sprout. That is not loss, but transformation. What comes from me is never lost. It is simply reborn at a higher level. And you will realize that what you have truly longed for all along was not to fulfill your own will, but to live in heavens, the place where the soul is truly free. The world speaks of success, but I speak of completion. Success is what you achieve. Completion is what you become. When your soul is united with my will, you no longer chase the world's measures, for you are already living your divine purpose. You no longer search for meaning, for your very existence within the will of heaven is meaning. And that is the deepest freedom, when you no longer need to prove, compare, or strive to be seen, for you already are known, loved, and sent. Heaven's will is not a detailed blueprint drawn on paper. It is a living current, a flowing river, the continual breath of my spirit within you. Each day that you listen, step, and yield, that is heaven's will unfolding. Do not think you must know the entire path. Faithfulness in this moment is enough. Abraham left his country not knowing where he was going, but he walked because he trusted the one who called him. Likewise, I do not require you to know the destination. I ask you to trust the hand that leads. There will be times when my will seems to go against your expectations. You will wonder why I close doors you long to enter, why I let you walk through loneliness, why your prayers seem unanswered. But remember this, I am not rejecting you, I am refining you. Every no from me holds a deeper yes. Every delay hides a preparation. Every loss makes room for the eternal. Heaven's will never deprives, it purifies. It never diminishes, it expands. It never weakens, it strengthens you in what is true. Do you know, my child, why my will is perfect? Because it is written in love. Nothing in it is random. Every thread is woven by mercy's hand. When I ask you to stop, it is not to take from you, but to preserve you. When I make you wait, it is not punishment, but preparation. When I remove it, is to return something purer, stronger, and everlasting. And when at last you understand, your tears will turn to thanksgiving, for you will see that I was never wrong. You simply needed time to see. To live in heaven's will, you must learn the art of stillness and trust. I do not speak in noise, but in the whisper of the wind. I do not guide through thunder, but through the quiet knowing of your spirit. The world teaches you to choose by reason. I teach you to choose by peace. If a decision stirs turmoil within, no matter how logical, wait. But if it brings peace, even without full understanding, move forward. Peace is the language of heaven's will, and stillness is the path to discernment. Union with my will does not erase your individuality, it perfects it. I did not create you to be a copy of another, but a unique expression of my image. Heaven's will does not crush personality, it sanctifies it. It does not extinguish your fire, it directs it rightly. When you surrender, you do not fade, you burn with holy clarity. When you yield, you are not weakened, You are made strong with eternal strength. When the soul enters true union, you will see that every part of life, joy and sorrow, triumph and failure, becomes a tool of grace. Nothing is wasted, nothing is random. Even your wounds are transformed into glory. When you look with heaven's eyes, you will realize that everything which once caused you pain has become part of the song of redemption. My will does not erase your story. It transfigures it into testimony. Beloved one, understand this. Walking in heaven's will is not a one-time event, but a daily rhythm of breath. Each morning you wake and whisper, "Father, let your will be done today." You step deeper into divine destiny. Every time you choose forgiveness, you partner with heaven's will. Every time you choose faith, you continue heaven's story. Every time you choose love, the kingdom of God becomes visible through your life. And when your soul is joined with mine, you will no longer fear the future. For the future cannot harm those who dwell in the will of heaven. The winds may shift, the waves may rise, but the vessel anchored in the Father's will shall never sink. When you live in this union, every storm becomes a stage for my glory. The tempest ceases to threaten. It becomes the proving ground of faith. And with each passing storm, you will stand steadier, shine brighter, and walk freer. Know this, my child, the will of heaven always triumphs. Even when you delay, when you lose your way, when you fall, I will still cause all things to work together for your good. There is nothing you have lost that I cannot redeem. There is no road you have taken that I cannot guide you back from. For heaven's will is not fragile like human plans. It is as enduring as love itself, and that love will never cease pursuing you until you are wholly one with it. My beloved child, this is the moment when you are invited to step into your divine destiny, not a destiny of fame or power, but of oneness with the Father. There you will see that every prayer, every tear, and every season of waiting carried meaning. You will understand why I did not answer in the way you wished, for I had prepared something far greater. You will know that your will be done is not a cry of surrender, but a declaration of victory. For only when the Father's will is done does the kingdom come, and only then is your soul truly free. My beloved, when your soul has become one with heaven's will, when your prayers have shifted from "bless me" to "use me," that is when you begin to walk in your divine calling. This is no longer the journey of seeking, but of fulfilling. No longer the desire to reach the light, but to let the light flow through you. You no longer ask, "Lord, where is your will?" for you have become the very path through which my will moves. My child, divine destiny is not a finish line to reach, but a state of the soul that listens and obeys with every breath. When heaven's will flows through you, you no longer strive to become something you simply are. You no longer chase greatness to prove your worth, for in daily faithfulness, my light already shines through you. Do not think of destiny as a stage or earthly glory. True destiny is to be my instrument, a flute through which my spirit breathes the melody of grace. I chose you not because you were qualified, but because you were willing. In a world striving to stand out, I search for hearts that bow low. I do not need many voices to speak for me. I seek one who will be silent, so that I may speak through them. I do not look for perfection. I look for a dwelling place. When your soul is empty, I will fill it. When you yield, I will act. When you become small, my kingdom grows great. That is the secret of everyone I send. They do not work by their strength, but by my spirit within them. To walk in destiny is not to chase opportunity, but to recognize the ones heaven opens. The world calls it timing, but I call it kairos, the appointed moment of God. When you live in union with me, my spirit aligns everything. Doors open not because you knock, but because you are ready. The people you need to meet will appear at the right hour. The words you must speak will flow without effort. The works you are called to do will bear heaven's fingerprints. That is how I move quietly yet precisely, gently yet powerfully. Do not fear feeling small in the face of a great calling. Everyone I have ever chosen began with that sense of unworthiness. Moses said, "I am slow of speech." Jeremiah lamented, "I am too young." Gideon trembled, "I am the least in my family." But I told them, as I now tell you, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. My presence within you is the proof of power." It is not ability that fulfills destiny. It is my presence. When I dwell in you, you cannot fail. You can only be formed. Do not try to think your way into destiny. It is discovered through surrender. When you are still long enough to listen, you will hear a voice deeper than all the noise. "Go, for I am sending you." That voice does not echo from without. It rises from within, where my spirit already abides. And when you answer, all things begin to move. I arrange the pieces, people, moments, circumstances to complete what I began. Remember, my beloved, destiny is not what you do, but who you become. You are not called merely to do the work of God, but to carry the heart of God into the world. Every action is but the overflow of an inner life. When you love, you fulfill your mission. When you choose peace instead of reaction, you guard the kingdom. When you forgive, you open heaven's gate for another soul. The world is not changed by grand miracles, but by transformed hearts, and I am transforming the world through you. Do not fear the darkness that rises against you. Every flame is tested by the wind. Every light must face the night to prove it is true. The enemy will whisper doubt, weariness, and fear, urging you to believe you are not enough. But I say it is precisely because you are not enough that my grace can be made perfect. If you were enough, you would not need me. If you were strong, you would forget me. But in your weakness I am glorified. So do not despise frailty, it is the soil where power grows. When you walk in destiny, you will no longer need to prove anything. Your affirmation comes from heaven, not from the crowd. You do not need applause to know you are right. My quiet "well done" is enough to move all of heaven on your behalf. Remember, every great soul once served in hiddenness before being seen. Moses tended sheep for 40 years before confronting Pharaoh. David watched flocks before wearing a crown. Even Jesus lived 30 silent years before his public mission began. Your time will come, and when it does, you will not need to chase it, for destiny itself will find you. I did not call you merely to exist, but to influence. Yet influence is not domination, it is seed sowing. You are not called to force belief, but to plant faith. Not to argue, but to love. Not to conquer, but to transform. Every word spoken in love will never be lost. It may fall into the soil of silence, but in its season it will sprout. Do not measure your work by others' reactions. Measure it by the faithfulness of your heart. And when you become an instrument of light, the world will know that I still live not through loud miracles, but through luminous souls. You will not have to carry the torch, you will be the torch. When you enter a room, darkness must retreat. When you speak, fear falls silent. When you pray, heaven and earth meet. For where you walk, I walk. Where you stand, my light stands, and where you speak, my voice echoes. You are no longer merely a bearer of light. You are light clothed in human form. My beloved child, walking in destiny does not mean you will never grow weary. Even fire needs oil. Come to me daily, that I may refill you with grace, renew your breath, and soothe your soul. Destiny cannot be sustained by effort, only by communion. Stay close to me, and you will not have to guard the flame. I will keep it burning for you. And then, my child, as time unfolds, you will look back and see every detour, every waiting, every tear, every silent prayer. All were the steps of heaven's will leading you here. You will realize that divine destiny was never a reward, but the natural fruit of a surrendered soul. And when you live in it, you will no longer ask, "Does my life have meaning?" For your very life has meaning. My beloved child, now that you have walked the full path, when every veil of trial has lifted and every tear has been quieted in. My heart, you are entering the realm of perfect peace, where time is no longer measured by days or years, but by the rhythm of eternity. This is no longer the place of seeking, but of union. No longer the place of asking, but of knowing. No longer the place of doing, but of being, where your soul and mind dissolve into one breath, one light, one love that never fades. Eternity. My child, does not begin when you leave the world. It begins when you learn to abide in me. Eternal life is not a final reward. It is a present reality, unfolding each moment you live within the Father's will. When you cease striving to prove yourself, when you stop chasing what passes away, when love itself becomes your breath, that is when you are living eternity in the midst of time. You do not need to wait for heaven. Heaven was planted within you from the beginning. I created you in my image, not merely to resemble me, but to carry me within you. Every soul is a fragment of infinity. Every heart a candle lit from the first light. When you return to me, that flame is rekindled. And now you are no longer a soul searching for the way you have become. The way for your very presence bears witness that love still reigns. Look around you, my child. Everything seems new, yet nothing has changed, only your sight. The sky is still the same, but now you see glory shining through the clouds. The wind is still the wind, but now it hums the song of life. Humanity is still humanity, but now you see me in every face. When the soul is purified, the world is no longer a place to endure, but a canvas where I reveal myself. This is the dawn of the eternal, when you no longer live for me, but in me. Here fear loses its power. Loss, loneliness, failure, death, they are but shadows. You have walked beyond illusion's veil and seen the true Sunday. You now understand that death is not an ending, but a doorway to greater life. What the world calls the end is only a transition in my divine symphony. And now you stand within its final movement, the song that never ceases. I was never far from you. Every tear you cried I kept in my golden bottle. Every sigh in the dark I heard clearly. Every time you thought you were lost, I was walking beside you. And now that you see I never left you, understand, heaven is not a place but a perception. When your heart is still, I am there. When you love, I am revealed. When you forgive, I reign. When you yield, I dwell within you. And when you rest in peace, heaven opens within your soul. Many seek signs from heaven, but the greatest sign is a soul that loves without condition. Many dream of light descending from above, but the truest light is the one that rises from a surrendered heart. Many long to hear thunder from heaven, but the true voice of heaven is love's whisper within you. This is perfect union, when you no longer see a line between heaven and earth, for where I am, you are also. My child, as you live in this glory, remember, I have not brought you here only to receive blessing, but to become a vessel of it. You are called not only to be saved, but to save, not only to receive, but to give, not only to rest, but to shine. The light you have received is not for keeping, but for sharing. Let your life become a lighthouse for souls still adrift in the long night. Let the light within you guide the weary home to the Father. For every time you love, another soul remembers the way. Do not fear that your light will fade. It does not come from you, but from me, the inexhaustible source. You are the vessel. I am the living water. You are the window. I am the Sunday. As long as you remain in me, the stream will never dry, and the light will never dim. For as I have said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him will bear much fruit. John 1:5-5. My beloved, you are home now, not a home of stone or wood, but the dwelling of the soul, the place you have belonged since the beginning. Here there is no fear, no striving, no division, only love, pure, eternal, boundless love that fills all things. In that love you discover that you are not merely a creature, but the very breath of the Creator, not only one who is loved, but love itself alive. As you rest in this union, you will hear the music of the universe, the melody I composed before time began. It sings through every particle, every ray of light, every heartbeat within you. And when you listen deeply enough, you will hear your own soul joining in glory be to you forever and ever. My child, the journey is complete, not because you have done enough, but because I have. Not because you have traveled far, but because you have come home. From now on, you will no longer live as one striving to reach heaven, but as one who carries heaven within. I am in you, you are in me, and love alone is all that remains. Thank you for listening to today's message. If this word has touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we can continue walking together, receiving the living word, building an unshakable faith, and abiding daily in the boundless love of God. Amen.